When you're faced with a really wonderful, wonderful work of art and it's something that speaks to you, many times it's because it's really hitting a personal truth of yours. When people talk to me about my work, about how it affects them, they usually say that it makes them feel happy and joyful, and I want things to be happy and joyful and make people happy. And that, I think, is my big identity. This is a guy that I got. It's a reproduction of a Roman bust, and then I made some leaves for him out of metal. There's a little bit of everything, and actually downstairs in the basement there's at least this much again. It's all about discovering something that you hadn't really seen before. My parents weren't craft people at all. They were very much into Renaissance and medieval art, and so we'd go to museums, but we'd only go to those departments. So we never saw modern art, ever, ever, ever. We saw lots of angels and virgins and things like that, but we never saw modern art. My mother was very severely mentally ill, in and out of institutions, and finally took her life. But she also was a very warm, loving, wonderful mother. And so from a young age, when I first started doing my first things, she completely encouraged that. And I just made things constantly. Then when I was 14 years old, I was in the library and I saw a book on Calder. The cover was a mobile, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I went home and made one. As time went on, I got into doing jewelry. I was doing beautiful stuff, but it wasn't as much as expressive. And I had made a very good friend, Jean Moore, the head of Tiffany's Design. He gave me my start in mobiles. I had been making them since I was a kid, but he said I should take them really seriously. So there they were in the Tiffany windows, you know, with a little sign saying, you know, mobiles by MarkDavis. A lot of times, I'll do a piece and think to myself, you know, I really like the direction of that. I like the tone of it. I like some of the new things I tried. You know, I'd love to try it with a different direction. So that will be my next piece. It's interesting, my father and mother were so academic, so much about thoughts, and we all seriously rebelled against it. It's really good to question authority and to find balance. My work is completely abstract. I'm really letting myself go into an inner place, and I'm just allowing things to flow out. Sometimes what looks like a very simple, elegant shape is actually 8 pieces of paper all taped, because I keep going, no, it needs a little more here, a little less here. I play with it a lot. I cut a lot of different shapes out. Once I've got a nice composition of shapes, then I start cutting them out of metal. Very, very lightweight aluminum. It's a little harder to form. It's a little harder to mount the wires onto them. But it's so much lighter, and a littlest breeze makes things move, and I really love that. So I cut the sheet metal out. I juxtapose them on my table, and then I start pounding out. That method is what's used for silversmiths, but I have figured out over time, over the years, how to take a rigid sheet of metal and actually form it, dome it this way, and then dome it this way, and then make a transition between the two. So now I'm able to make pieces of metal look very fluid. Once the piece has been completely sanded, I solder on little pieces of wire at the various points where it'll hang exactly the right way I want to. I have wires hanging down from the ceiling, and I just play with those shapes and get them to close to what I want. Then it's undercoated with a white undercoat, which is like a gesso. There are some times when I have a color palette that I really want to play with, but a lot of the time, color is the last thing to happen. So with an airbrush, I'll basically take a white and give it the slightest tint of color. And then I keep giving it stronger and stronger sprays of color until it's almost got a black edge to it. In this piece, I really wanted to try the kind of leaf shapes that I usually use, but use it as a base. A curator at a museum said to me once that he found my work to be very organic. There is nature all around us all the time, and there's nothing like being a little kid on a sunny day with bare feet, trudging through the dirt road and looking at all the little things in the ground and all the things in the sky. And that kind of sense of wonder has never left me. I know that it's done when I say, this is the best I can do with what I've got. And I let go of it, and I move on to the next piece. It's never perfect, and that's okay. It gives me something to live for.